Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really trying to get inside the mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Not just the painter, but the whole picture.
Right. The inventor, the scientist, the musician, everything. He was this ultimate polymath.
So our mission today is, well, partly to look at his incredible achievements, obviously, but also how he did it. What was his method? What about his early life set him up for this?
Exactly. And people at the time saw it too. They called him rare and universal, even a miracle of nature. It's about understanding that whole process.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. His early years, they weren't exactly conventional, were they? Born in 1452, illegitimate son.
That's right. Son of Piero da Vinci, a notary, and Caterina, a woman from a much more modest background. His grandfather noted him down as Leonardo.
And raised in his father's family home, but his education was apparently quite hit or miss, disordered and discontinuous, I think was the description.
Yeah, which might actually be key. Less rigid structure, maybe more room for, curiosity. And crucially, he learned to write left-handed.
Leading to the famous mirror script?
Exactly. That unique style you see in all his notebooks.
But the real foundation, the thing that seems to have set him on this path, was getting into Andrea del Verrocchio's workshop in Florence. That was around, 1469, 1470?
Right, and Verrocchio's place wasn't just an art studio. It was more like a officina, a forge.
A forge, so more hands-on.
Definitely. He learned painting and sculpture, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but also carpentry, mechanics, engineering, even architecture is this incredibly broad practical training. That's where the polymath approach really solidified, I think.
So you have this raw curiosity from an unstructured childhood meeting this really comprehensive hands-on training, okay? But how did he then, use that knowledge? How did he actually achieve all these breakthroughs?
Well, his core method, the thing that runs through everything, was intense observation combined with mathematical reasoning. He was adamant about it.
She had that quote, right? Something about,
Nessuna umana investigazione si può dimandare vera scienza, se essa non passa per le matematiche dimostrazioni. Basically, no human investigation can be called true science if it doesn't pass through mathematical proof.
he didn't just want to see how things worked, he wanted the numbers behind it.
Precisely. It wasn't enough to observe. He had to quantify, to find the underlying mathematical laws.
Okay, but then how do you square that demand for rigor with some of his, famous mistakes, like the Last Supper? That technique didn't exactly work out, did it?
Ah, yes. The paradox of Leonardo. He was constantly experimenting, pushing boundaries. For the Last Supper, he wanted this incredible depth of color, so he ditched traditional fresco.
And invented his own mix.
Right, a mix of oil and tempera. But the wall, in a damp refectory, it just wasn't suitable. The painting started deteriorating almost immediately. His quest for perfection sometimes led to, technical disaster.
Wow. So one of the world's most famous paintings was kind of a failed experiment from the start. That's humbling.
It is. And the Battle of Anghiari was another attempt at a new technique that failed. But when his methods did work,
Then you get the Mona Lisa.
exactly, or his scientific work,
Right.
his anatomy studies were unbelievable for the time. He dissected at least 30 human bodies, often secretly.
And drew them with such detail, those sequential drawings.
Yes, like the exploded view diagrams we use in engineering today. He was pioneering anatomical illustration showing how the body worked mechanically.
And this applied observation wasn't just limited to bodies, right? He looked at everything. Flying machines, geology.
Absolutely. He saw patterns everywhere. His geology work is fascinating. He realized marine fossils high in mountains weren't from the biblical flood.
So what did you think caused them?
He theorized it was like blood circulation, but for the Earth's water masses. Land masses changing over vast timescales. It was incredibly insightful. And his inventions, the parachute sketch, the multi-barrel cannon, the flying machines like the Great Kite, they all came from observing nature and applying mathematical principles.
That constant linking of observation and rational law. It feels like the core lesson. So what can we take away from his life today? What's the practical wisdom?
I think it's precisely that balance. You need the detailed, hands-on experience, the observation, the science, but you also need the ability to step back, find the pattern, represent it beautifully, the art, the reason, engage directly with the world.
And there's also that story about his self-worth, isn't there? Refusing payment.
Oh, right. When offered some small coins, he apparently said, "Io non sono di pittore da quattrini."
I am not a painter of small change, knowing your value.
Definitely. And he wrote about preparation, too. He said something like, acquire in your youth that which will restore the damage of your old age. Basically, feed your mind with wisdom when you're young.
And that other quote about a life well lived.
Ah, yes. Sì come una giornata bene spesa dà lieto dormire, così una vita bene usata dà lieto morire. Just as a day well spent brings happy sleep, so a life well used brings a happy death. Fulfillment through effort.
It's a powerful message, a life dedicated to understanding, even with the occasional experimental mishap.
Which brings us to maybe a final thought from him, something quite relevant today, I think. He knew that reason needed defending.
How so?
He wrote that in Arguments, sempre dove manca la ragione suppliscono le grida, basically. Where reason is lacking, shouting fills the void, a warning against letting noise drown out rational thought.
A timeless insight. So the takeaway for you, our listeners, approach problems with that Da Vinci combination, a keen eye for detail and a rigorous search for the underlying rational truth.